The reason you have never figured out what reality is because the thing trying to figure it out is itself part of the illusion. Right now, your entire life feels unquestionably real. Your body feels real, the room around you feels real, time feels real, other people feel real, the past feels real, your memories feel real. But notice something terrifying. Every single one of those things only exists as experience. You have never touched a physical world outside consciousness ever. You have only ever experienced colors, sounds, sensations, thoughts, emotions, and perceptions appearing in awareness. That's it. And this creates one of the biggest unsolved problems in all of philosophy of science called the hard problem of consciousness. Because science can explain behavior, it can explain neurons firing, it can explain chemistry and electrical signals inside of the brain, but it cannot explain why experience exists at all. Why does red look red? Why does pain feel like pain? Why does music feel emotional? How do dead particles somehow produce the inner world? And here's where this gets even stranger. No one has ever solved this problem. Not neuroscientists, not philosophers, not physicists, not materialists. For centuries, they have been trapped in the same assumption that consciousness is being produced by matter, that somehow atoms create awareness. But look carefully, that assumption itself is never actually proven, because matter is never experienced outside consciousness in the first place. You never experience matter, you experience perception. Right now, all you know is consciousness, everything else is inference. And the second you see this, the entire paradigm starts collapsing. Because the problem may not be that science hasn't found the answer yet, the problem may be that the question itself is upside down from the beginning. What if consciousness is not produced by reality? What if consciousness is reality? Now look very carefully. This coffee cup, this room, your body, your thoughts, the feeling of your hands, the sound of my voice, all of it appears inside of consciousness. Not one thing has ever been found outside of consciousness. And yet somehow, consciousness gets treated like a side effect, like some accidental byproduct of neurons. But that makes absolutely no sense because neurons themselves only appear as experience. You don't know a brain directly, you know an image of the brain appearing in consciousness. You know thoughts about brains appearing in consciousness. You know scientific theories appearing in consciousness. Everything is appearing inside the very thing materialism is trying to explain away. And this is why the hard problem of consciousness and the mind-body problem have never been solved. Because they're trying to explain consciousness using something that itself only exists as consciousness. It's circular. The entire paradigm breaks. So switch paradigms completely. Instead of saying consciousness comes from matter, realize that matter itself is an appearance inside consciousness. Consciousness is not a second order phenomenon, it is the fundamental substance of reality itself. Not metaphorically, but literally. The most fundamental material is not atoms, it is consciousness. And once you see this, reality starts looking very different because now the world is no longer made out of physical objects, it's made out of experience. Consciousness imagining form like a dream. And before your mind rejects that, think carefully about what a dream actually is. At night, you enter a fully immersive world. You see people, places, objects, conversations, time, distance, movement, entire storylines. And while you're dreaming, it feels completely real. But what was the dream actually made out of? Consciousness. Not matter, not atoms. Consciousness was imagining all of it. And the strange part is this: inside the dream, there also appears to be a body, a brain, a world, other people. But when you wake up, you realize that the entire thing was made out of mind. Now, here's the uncomfortable question: how do you know this current reality is different? And don't answer too quickly, because your first instinct will be to say, well, this world is stable, dreams are random. But is that actually true? Or are you just deeply conditioned to this particular dream? Think back to being a baby, before language, before labels, before concepts. What was experience? It was just colors, shapes, sounds, sensations, and movement, an overwhelming fluid field of consciousness constantly shifting. That is loosey-goosey. That is dreamlike. But over time, your imagination has convinced itself that this pattern was physical reality. You became hypnotized by consistency. You got used to the dream. And now you call it the real world. But notice something: everything you know about reality is still appearing exactly the same way that dreams do. It's conscious experience. Now, here's where this gets existentially dangerous, because if reality is consciousness, then what are you? Most people think that they are a biological creature living inside a universe that existed billions of years before they were born. But look at your direct experience now. Can you actually find this biological creature? Or can you only find sensations, thoughts, mental images, and perceptions appearing in awareness? Try to find the actual self. Not the thought of self, but the actual self. Where is it? Is it in the head? Behind the eyes? Inside the brain? Can you directly find a separate entity observing experience? Or do you only find more experience? A sensation in the face, a thought saying me, an image of a body, a memory. But all of those things are appearing to awareness, which means they cannot be what awareness fundamentally is. And this is the part most people avoid, because if you keep looking honestly, the separate self starts disappearing. Not physically, conceptually. You realize the person you thought you were is actually just a mental construction appearing inside of consciousness. A story, an identity, a character. And suddenly something terrifying becomes obvious. You were not a biological creature who became conscious. You are consciousness imagining a biological creature. The Big Bang, never directly experienced. Evolution, a model appearing in consciousness. Space, appearing in consciousness. Time, appearing in consciousness. Billions of years, thoughts happening right now. And this doesn't mean science is useless. Science describes patterns within the dream extremely well, but it does not explain the existence of the dream itself. And that is the difference. And once this clicks, reality starts feeling profoundly strange. Because you begin realizing something that sounds insane at first: you have never actually left consciousness, ever. Not for 1 second. You are like God dreaming a world and becoming so immersed in the dream that you forgot you were the dreamer. Like a movie projector forgetting it is projecting the film. Think about a movie screen. Different characters appear, wars happen, love stories, entire civilizations rise and fall. But what is the movie actually made out of? It's just light, pure light taking form. And consciousness works the same way. People, objects, bodies, history, planets, galaxies, all appearances. Different shapes made out of one thing: consciousness itself. And the mind hates this because it wants solidity. It wants physical certainty. It wants a separate self in control. But look honestly, thoughts appear by themselves, sensations appear by themselves, emotions appear by themselves, even the feeling of being you appears by itself. So where exactly is the controller? Where's the thinker? Where is the separate observer? You cannot find one because the I is itself another appearance inside consciousness. A thought claiming ownership after experience already appeared. And this is why awakening feels so shocking, because you stop identifying as the character inside of the dream and you begin recognizing yourself as the field in which the entire dream occurs. Infinite consciousness, infinite imagination, not metaphorically, literally. But here's the important part. This cannot stay philosophical. You cannot merely believe this. You have to investigate it directly, right now. Look at your experience carefully, not your theories or education or what society told you, but look directly. Can you actually find a physical reality outside consciousness? Can you find the separate self? Can you find the boundary where awareness ends and the world begins? Or is everything simply appearing effortlessly inside of this infinite field? That is the real investigation, and the deeper you go, the more disturbing it becomes. Because eventually you may realize the thing you called your life was a dream inside of infinity, and the one dreaming it was never human to begin with.